Rachel Hopmayer joined on CBS News Detroit Sports by none other than Dr. Chris Nowinski at the head of the Concussion Legacy Foundation. And it's a timely event that's bringing us together. Unfortunately, the Johnson family lost Greg 5 years ago this week, and we are all thinking of them. For those who don't know Dr. Nowinski, can you walk us through the process of a post-mortem CTE diagnosis?
Yes. When someone passes away and their family wants to have their brain studied, it gets sent to the Boston University CTE Center, where Dr. Ann McKee and her team lead a very thorough analysis over a number of weeks to try to understand what happened to that individual's brain. So they basically study it for every type of disease that we know of through a very rigorous analysis of various parts of the brain. And this being a CT-focused brain bank, most of the time, families are correct in assuming their loved one had CTE thus far.
Dr. McKee, an icon in the brain research space, and as are you, Dr. Nowinski, for this concussion advocacy. How important is it to the Concussion Legacy Foundation's work when families have the strength to share these diagnoses with the world, when the scientific literature may not be the most accessible to the public?
Yeah, we're forever in debt to the families who choose to take the diagnosis public. You know, when I started this work almost 20 years ago, we only knew of 40 cases in the entire world's literature, and it was almost exclusively boxers. And so we weren't talking about it. CT is important to talk about because it's an entirely preventable disease. This is a choice that we make by playing sports in which we get hit in the head thousands of times. And most people who sign up for those sports begin as children. And so when families go public, it starts a conversation on what can we do better so that people can still enjoy sports but not get a lifelong brain disease that will eventually result in symptoms that impact their life and their family.
Greg Johnson's brain is the 17th of 18 former NHL players with publicly available records such as this that tells us that he left his life with CTE. What is the science telling us about CTE and hockey?
Well, there is a publication in process of our entire experience with hockey players, so we look forward to discussing it then. But it is surprising that 17 of the first 18 NHL players studied at our brain bank and a brain bank in Canada have been diagnosed with CTE. Basically, CT is sort of a math problem. The longer you play sports, the more hits you take, and the harder those hits are, the greater your risk of CT. So we have about 400 NFL players, and more than 90% have had them. And now we're 17 of 18 with ice hockey players. It doesn't mean that more than 90% of ice hockey players have this, but it does mean that it is a significant risk factor of playing a long ice hockey career. And why this is especially important is because while the NFL acknowledges playing their sport will cause CTE in some people, the National Hockey League still refuses to acknowledge that their sport, which involves enormous collisions to the head and also includes fighting, doesn't cause CTE. And that's a shame because that means that players who trust the NHL's message on this may not take moves that they could make to prevent their own potential case of CTE.
It is frustrating, especially when you look at it from the players' union perspective, who can only advocate for these athletes. When you look at the minimal strides that the NFL has taken towards concussions and towards head safety, what do you think that Commissioner Bettman can do in order to take the NHL in that direction?
Well, Hall of Famer Ken Dryden has been very vocal that probably the most obvious and simple change to protect hockey players would be to make all hits to the head a penalty. Right now, they've slightly increased penalties for severe and direct hits to the head, but really all hits to the head can be avoided. And the NHL is choosing to play a rougher game that, say, for example, the Olympic hockey or some international hockey does not play. So there is a version of hockey that we know fans would like that doesn't involve these extreme head hits. And it's really a choice to have a game in which CT is going to be a result for some athletes. And so I hope the players take a stronger voice in looking at the evidence for themselves and choosing what sport they want to play. Because I don't think the way they're doing it now, that the players who are getting CT have informed consent. They don't necessarily know what's coming for them, and that, to me, is not right.
And for athletes who this game may have already come for and may be experiencing symptoms, then they don't know what to do or who to talk to about it, where can we direct them?
I would direct anyone who's concerned that they might have symptoms related to CT to our helpline at the Concussion Legacy Foundation. So clfhelpline.org, or just Google Concussion Legacy Helpline. We have 4 team members full-time helping people reach out who are concerned, and we'll get you to the best doctors. We have support groups. We have one-on-one peer support. You're not alone in this fight. Your symptoms may not be from CT, but they certainly should be addressed, and we're here to help.
Thank you so much, Dr. Nowinski, for joining us and all of the education and information you do between athletes and the media. I know I just re-upped my concussion reporting certification this morning, and it's exciting to talk to an expert about this and get the right messages out there.
Thank you for getting the word out.